Welcome to the Fish House Nation podcast presented by Catch Cover, your home for ice fishing news, tips, stories, and strategies. And now, your host, Chris Larson.
Welcome to the Fish House Nation podcast. Today we're talking Red Lake with Mark Bogonic. Mark is kind of a jack of all trades. He's a full-time firefighter in Thief River Falls, runs the bait shop at the West Wind Resort on Upper Red Lake, and the fishing department at the Hardware Hank in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Mark, you've been a busy guy lately. West Wind Resort is getting their fish houses out on the lake. People are already hauling in Red Lake limits. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us today.
Well, thank you very kindly for having me, sir. You know, just a real correction there. We are not hauling the fish houses on the lake yet. We do have them on shore, but that migration onto the lake should happen within the next week. You know, we're sitting on some really good ice out to about 1.5 miles, but we're battling some open water out deeper. That's kind of concerning. The lake seems to be shifting. So yeah, we're still on a holding pattern here.
Yeah, what are the ice conditions like? I'm seeing people out there already, but what is it like out on the lake right now in early December?
Well, we've started out with ice, you know, early in the month of November. So a lot of the local guys got out right away, and instantly they found a lot of cloudy water, so they need to migrate out into a little deeper water. And you get in that, you know, of course on Red Lake, 7, 8, or 9, 8, 10, you know, feet. That's deeper water considering. But we've been bringing in huge fish because we still have that liberal limit in the month of November. So a lot of local guys within 100 miles of Upper Red Lake, you know, come up here and just really put the smackdown on tons of fish. Now that limit changed the 1st of December, where you can only keep one fish over 17 inches and the other 3 have to be under 17.
Mark, what makes ice fishing on Red Lake special? People are talking about it. If you go on to some of the forums and you look at Facebook and some of the groups there, that seems to be the big topic of conversation right now is ice fishing on Red Lake. What makes it special in your eyes? You're a guy that's been around the lake your whole life.
Well, I think, you know, especially early ice, you know, these fish, it's funny about Red Lake is that we have great early fishing in the summer. Guys will come up here and catch bucket loads of fish, and you know you won't be surprised to hear people catch 100 fish a day in a boat. Well, that fishing stays good normally to about early July, and once early July starts, these fish get out deeper and they start roaming the basin in deeper water. Guys have a tough time catching fish, and essentially people just kind of give up on them. Well, these fish are out there getting fat, eating, you know, miles and miles and miles of shiners and all the perch and all the fish, all the food they want. So when early ice comes, these fish are as fat as footballs and they're hungry. And so guys come up, and that's the craze. And a lot of these younger guys will come up early and they'll bring their little Rapala fish counters. And I've seen it many times where guys are in the hundreds for catching and releasing, you know, walleyes on early ice on Red Lake. And I've always said Red Lake's like a dog dish. You know, it freezes easy and quickly. And when you get good fishable early ice, this is the Mecca. This is where everybody comes.
And you talked a little bit earlier about the new regulations that just started December 1st. It's a 4 walleye bag limit with only 1 fish over 17 inches allowed. Why is Red Lake managed the way it is?
Boy, you know, you talk to the fisheries guys down in Bemidji, and we had a lot of bigger fish that needed to get out of our system. And in fact, I just talked to Tony Kennedy. He come in here and dropped off the new regulations the other day at the bait shop here at Westwind. And I said, what about? They're taking a lot of big fish out here. Tony, I look at the gut buckets every day, and there's lots of huge fish coming out here. What do you think of that? And he put 2 thumbs up. He said, yep, that's what we want. And, you know, in the outdoor industry, all sportsmen, we seem to be kind of critical of our DNR. The DNR is not doing this right. The DNR is not doing Mille Lacs Lake right. But I always say this, whatever the DNR is doing to Upper Red Lake and to the Lower Red Lake, you know, the Red Lake tribe to the west of us, they're doing a fantastic job of managing their fishery. And so is the DNR on managing our fishery. Because like I say, growing up here, I've seen it bad where you'd go up there and catch, you know, a few fish that were 13 to 15 inches, and that's all you caught. Where now I caught my personal best the other day at 28-inch walleye, and I released it, and I thought that's unbelievable, and I've never seen it before, and I never thought I'd ever see it. It's quite a fishery. I think it's one of the best managed fisheries in the state.
Well, what makes Red Lake unique as a fishery? I know you've kind of hit on a few different things already where it's very shallow. It's not a deep lake. What I've heard is really there's not a lot of structure. It's kind of like you said, it's kind of like a dog dish. Can you talk about some of the unique features of Red Lake and what people are going to see if they come up there?
On Red Lake, obviously, a couple of feet in transition on the bottom, a little break here is a big difference, unlike you get up to Lake of the Woods or any other lake where you got, big reefs and lots of structure. Red Lake does have some rock fingers, down, I call it Keller's Point, and further down towards the old Kansas City Resort. And then we have a rock hump that's way out in the middle that everybody tries to get to. And, sure, it's 12, 13 feet around, and it comes up to about 10 feet. And in this basin, that's a lot of structure. That's a big difference, and that holds fish. You talk about these fish, wheeled fish houses, and I've always considered it like winter camping. People are bringing their families up, they're going fishing, and it's like winter camping. Only the benefit or the bonus of it is they get to catch some fish through the hole instead of going sitting at a state park somewhere or in the woods. These guys are catching a limit of Red Lake walleyes. So I think that's a big unique part of it. You're able to get a lot of places with all these resorts that are plowing roads. And I grew up as a kid, this lake, when you looked at it at night, you never wanted to even think about going onto it because it looked like a big monster would have been out there. Where now I can sit in my cabin at night and it looks like the skyline of Chicago or St. Paul. These roads are going all over the lake. So, that's a pretty big road system they got out there. So that's probably the big push for it. They don't have that, I don't think, on any other bigger body of water.
Kind of like a city infrastructure, getting out to where the houses are and where people want to fish. You talked about a little bit earlier, you do share the lake with the Red Lake Reservation. There's tribal boundaries out on the water. If people are going to come out there and do some fishing, what do they need to know when it comes to those boundaries?
Well, the tribe does not mark on the lake itself. They do not do that. On shore, there's white signs you can see where it'll say Red Lake Tribal Land. But if anybody has any kind of, fish finder or GPS, you're going to find out that the contour lines stop at the reservation water. And a lot of the local resorts, especially the South Shore, skirt that whole line north and south. Those guys in the South Shore, a month into the fishing season, are going to be on the North Shore. So most people know, they're educated not to go, anything, west of that road. So that's about the only real barrier you're going to have to know. And if you do go on it, the tribe, they do monitor it with snowmobile, their game wardens. So you'll get a ticket or you'll lose your equipment. So you got to be real careful.
Good information to know. We talked a little bit earlier, but what are the current ice conditions out there right now? I know we had the snowstorm pass through and kind of weather is getting a little bit wonky. It's definitely colder up in your neck of the woods than it is here in the metro area. But what are those ice conditions like right now?
Well, we last 2 mornings we've had below zero. We had 6 below yesterday morning, and we had I think it was like 0 this morning. Right now it's 20. We got probably about 5 to 6 inches of snow, and most of it stayed on the lake. We didn't have a big wind, a big blow at this storm. So it's really nice for snowmobiling on it. If you're going to bring your snowmobile, you can go anywhere with your ATV or your side-by-side. And we're sitting at, like I say, between 12 to 14 inches of ice. I've actually heard reports of 16 inches. But you're going to get to some good fishable waters. But it's just that open water that we're contending with out deeper. And of course, we did have some other open spots last weekend, so that froze over. So there's only about 1.5 inches on a lot of that ice. So you really got to be careful. You listen to your resorts wherever you're going to go out from. I'm on the fire department here in Kelly or Waskish, and on the first responder squad. So if you have an emergency, I'm the guy that's going to come pull you out. Me and my friends, and we surely don't want to see that. So get educated from the resort you're going out from, and with any luck, they don't want you to get in no trouble neither, so they're going to educate you as best they can.
What's your favorite way to chase walleyes on Red Lake?
I love to just drill a lot of holes, as many holes you can, and like I say, these fish are nomadic. They're always on the move, and I like to sit and I like to use a buckshot rattle spoon or anything with a good rattle. A Lindy rattling flyer is good, and keep on the move. And if you don't graph or don't see anything within 10, 15 minutes, you move. And that's just it. Like I say, a 2-foot contour change in depth or even a foot can make all the difference in the world. So you got to be able to move. And I always said this growing up, everybody would go fishing and you see a crowd of people and they go fish next to the crowd. Well, I say just the opposite. If you see somebody someplace, you go the opposite way twice as far. Just get away from them. You know, we got thinner ice conditions. You know, these fish get spooked and then they kind of racket on the ice, and that's a big part of it too. Got to be mobile and stay away from people.
You're running that bait shop there at the Westwind Resort. What are your favorite baits, lures, colors? What's in your tackle box?
Well, like I say, I like the Lindy Rattling Flyer. I think it has one of the best BB rattlers in the business. They're real loud. I love the buckshot rattle spoon. Anything with the noise, because we know we are a stained body of water. The other day I fished in 9 feet of water, and it looked like you were fishing in root beer. So that's real good. The later, once the water clears up, I always like to keep some like number 4 Gamakatsu hooks, just a plain hook on a real simple, just like when you were a kid. A plain hook is all you needed. That's really good later on. Like I say, any glow shot spoon is good. Oh, and of course there's them custom jigs and spins. Those slender spoons are good. You know, in the bait shop, everybody always has their favorite lure. That's why there's so much choice. We have a lot of local guys who like those Bloodline Demons. That's what I caught that 28-incher on the other day. I got local guys who love that frosty spoon made by Lindy, and then the custom jigs and spins Demon jigging spoon. That's really good. They got one of the red dot. There's local guys down by the Sunny Beach Road. That's all they'll use. Up in Westwind, you stop by here. We'll do our best to put you in the right direction and have the opportunity to catch a nice limit of fish. We want you the best eating fish in the state. And you come into our restaurant and we'll cook them up for you. And you have a cold beer or a cold pop, and we'll take care of you.
People are coming up to the lake for the first time. They're going out on the water. Where should they start if they're thinking about where's my first place to start drilling some holes? What would be your advice to them be?
Well, right now we're going to start migrating a little deeper. Early on, you're going to fish. You're set up in 6.5, 7.5 feet, and that's still a good spot to start if you get here before light. These fish move into the shallows in the evenings and move out in the morning. So, for about an hour and a half window, you have the opportunity to catch some, good quality fish. Once those fish go out deeper and start migrating the basin and start looking, chasing food, then you're going to get out into that 10, 11, 12 feet of water. And of course, and you can get to that right now. That crack is quite a ways out. So you're going to have the ability to get out deeper water. And then, of course, hey, stop at Westwind Resort. We'll take care of you.
For sure. What's the most common mistake you see people make on Red Lake?
Probably thinking that the fish are where all the other fish houses are. People, and we try to educate them, but the problem is guys will come up here, they'll do their homework. They have a buddy who come up here and caught fish in this one particular area. They'll go in there and they'll bring a bunch of other people in there, and then they'll have make a lot of racket. Those fish will move out of there, like you say, especially this little shallow or thinner ice. So, like I say, you don't need to make a lot of racket. You need to be mobile. These big guys with these big fish houses, they expect to come catch 50 to 100 fish a day like they did in their portables, and it's just not going to happen.
Crappies used to be the big draw in Red Lake, and after the boom of the early 2000s came a bust. What is the current state of the crappie population on Red Lake?
We just had a meeting, a fish advisory meeting here at end of September, and all the DNR guys were giving us information on how the fall seining went. And I had a brother-in-law who went out, who actually was one of the guys who found the crappies on Upper Red Lake. My brother-in-law built there. And they said that when he went out and they took video of these nets coming in, they had a large number, a substantial number of smaller, like a teacup size crappies in these nets. And they're saying in the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to have a substantial
a number of these fish in our bag limit, and it's what's really good to see. He said it's not going to be like the early 2000s, but we're going to see some nice crappies in our mix again, and which is good to see it, because everybody remembers, if you lived through the early 2000s, man, that was the time to be alive to witness that. I mean, you just can't imagine that when you haul out literally hay wagons full of fish guts out of the fish cleaning room. It's unbelievable.
Mark, is there anything about Red Lake that I didn't ask you that you'd like to talk about today?
Our biggest thing that we see, and that upsets the local people, like for people like me or at the resort or anybody who grew up on the lake who have kind of a kinship to it, is definitely the amount of garbage that's left here. And, I could, in the spring of the year, I'll take my kids and we'll go take our four-wheeler down the beach. And you could take snowmobile trailers full of garbage, the garbage that floats up on shore. We're all adults. And your mother taught you a long time ago, if you make the mess, you clean it up. And that seems to be a lot of pretty disrespectful sports fishermen out there, who just will throw their refuse bags, their human waste bags, they'll bury it in a snow pile. And for us as landowners up here, people who are stewards of our lake, we want this lake to be here for our children and for your children and grandchildren. Just take your garbage off the lake. Any dumpster, especially like the resort out of Westwind, we have dumpsters. When you pay your lake access fee, that gives you the ability to clean your fish in our fish cleaning facility and throw your garbage in our dumpsters. And that's a big issue up here, right? In the last 10 years, it gets worse. So
Mark,
that's a big thing I want to say.
Mark, tell us a little bit about Westwind Resort. People interested in coming up there and checking it out. What are they going to find when they pull in?
These are the owners of Westwind are lifelong residents of the area. The owner used to be a logger. He couldn't make a living. He worked his butt off logging, and I always said this is the resort that the Crappies built. You're going to find a family that when you get here in the morning and open up the bait shop at 5 o'clock, the owner's here working already. And when you leave in the evening, he's going to be here still. I mean, it's their life. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I think for that reason, it's one of the best run resorts on the lake. And they're always trying. When I started with them 7 years ago, I said, we got to expand our bait shop. We need to offer a bigger fish cleaning facility to our customers. And, they were great about it. Yeah, let's do it. We see the need for it also. And right now the resort will open up for food on the weekends at 8 in the morning for breakfast. But right now the resort doesn't open till 11. So you can have, come in and have a dinner. It's got the best wild rice soup, I think, in the nation. And so, yeah, it has, we have lakeside cabins, 6 lakeside cabins. We have some ridge homes. We offer 35 sleeper fish houses and some day houses included in that number. Yeah, it's been open since the year 2000. So I don't know what the heck else I'm forgetting, but you come here and like the old story goes, you treat us good, we'll treat you better. You try to offer service to your customers and make sure that they leave happy. That's why we want everybody to catch fish. That's why we need a healthy fishery. Because if you don't come up here and catch fish, you're not going to come back.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you want to find out more about Westwind, you can search Westwind Resort Red Lake in your favorite search tool, or you can go to their website, westwindwaskish.com. Thanks, Mark.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Thanks for listening to the Fish House Nation podcast presented by Catch Cover. For more ice fishing content, visit our blog at catchcover.com.